Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today we have Julie Boy from Vancouver Island. She's actually very colorful. She finished the Ironman 3 times. She has a bachelor's in kinesiology. She is a proud mom. She is also a USANA associate for 13 years, as well as she has another full-time business, Gratitude Guru. And she comes with a wealth of knowledge. Thank you, Julie, for coming on board.
My pleasure. So glad to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I now live on Vancouver Island, but I'm originally from outside of Toronto. And about a year and a half ago, I moved to BC. I spent just about 10 months living in the Lower Mainland in Langley and decided with my family and my parents that we would all move together to Vancouver Island. So now I live in a lovely small town on Vancouver Island called Lantzville. And we have the best, I kind of live in the country, but I live right next to the city of Nanaimo. So I have the best of both country and, smaller city living. I do have a daughter. She is 8 right now, and we homeschool. So homeschooling is new to us. We just started when I moved to BC. We came to homeschooling actually because my daughter went through some pretty serious separation anxiety and was unable to go to school when we moved to BC. So we came to homeschooling sort of accidentally. And I have been in business, as you said, for 13 years. So I'd been running my business, while my daughter was at school and in the evenings and all the things you normally do when your kids are in school. So I've had to completely reinvent how I do business these days, and balancing the fact that my daughter is home with me all day, every day, and just a very different lifestyle over here on the island. So, even though I've been doing this business for 13 years, I'm still sort of figuring things out. And the other part, as you mentioned, I'm really passionate about gratitude because gratitude has helped me through some of the most difficult times in my life. So out of that was birthed my brand, Wake Up with Gratitude. And what that really means is that it's really all about choosing to wake up and give thanks for the gift of every single day, because tomorrow is not promised. So I sort of have incorporated that into my lifestyle here on the island. I actually get up every morning and I go watch the sunrise. Even on a gray day, like today is a gray day, I still got up and went to the beach and just enjoyed being there and just giving thanks for another day. So that's kind of me.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, I've been watching you on Facebook. You do have some pretty cool shots. So Julie is also a photographer as well. So she does capture a lot of, the sunrises, as she mentioned, and they're pretty cool shots, I would have to say. So congrats on that. So now, how do you find time being a mom, working, homeschooling your daughter? How do you find the time to do everything and make your business work?
It's funny that that's your first question, because I just posted a blog on my website about 6 ways to create more time in your life. So the topic is very timely, as they would say. And I think the big thing about time is that we can choose to say that we're busy all the time and that we don't have time to do things, but I know that I'm in control of my time, and that is definitely a benefit of having built a network marketing business with USANA, long before I actually had a child. That beneficial residual income does give me more flexibility with my time. But like anybody in network marketing, in order to continue to grow in your business, you have to continue to work with your business. As you said, I do the photography and we do homeschool. There isn't time for everything. And that's like accepting that there isn't time for everything, and also accepting that the way that I used to run things is not the same as it is today. And so giving myself a lot of grace and forgiveness that things that I used to do, I can't do in the same way. So I used to build my business a lot by attending networking events, doing a lot of out of the house coffee dates, that kind of thing. And that's just not possible anymore. So what I do now is I belong to 2 networking groups, that's it. So one actually takes me to Vancouver once a month. So I take the ferry. I basically spend the day away to go to this one group that I love. And then the other one is a local group. And those are my 2 big networking events a month. And then a lot of my time is spent like this on a Zoom meeting with a lot of people. I don't have time for coffee dates anymore. So I had to choose to shift the way that I do business in order to make it work. And we do a pretty fluid type of homeschooling. We do more of unschooling. So we're not following the BC curriculum. We're really following, you know, what my daughter is led to learn. It's great. Like, you know, we were reading together on the couch, her and I. I was reading my book. She was reading her book. Like, it's just so cool, the things that we can do. And then I also, what I try and do is really notice that time. Like, I chose this now. We've decided that this is what we're going to do until it changes. And I've decided to notice that right now, this is what I'm doing. I'm spending time with my daughter. Excellent. Right? So that's a good way to like look at time and how you're using your time, is like noticing and being grateful in those moments of time, how you're spending it.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, I'm not a mom, but I'm pretty sure that the time that you do get, it's valuable, because I know kids do grow up really quickly as I teach. So I've seen them grow up, but, you know, I can't relate to you as a mom, but from a teacher's perspective, every minute that you get is probably precious.
Well, I do the same with my dog, my cat. I'm like, well, eventually you're not going to be here, so I'm just going to love you right now that you're here. You know, that's a big thing, is just like loving the people like that you have right now, because this is it. Like, now is the time you have. And it's very simple, and it almost sounds trite when I say it, but that is all we really have, is right there in this moment, right? There isn't anything.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So now, do you think that would have been possible had you been working 9 to 5, you know, at another job? Would that be possible for you?
So because we went through such a traumatic shift in terms of how my daughter ended up homeschooling, if I so we had just moved across the country. So let's say I had moved across the country and had a job, I would have lost my job. There's no doubt. I would have not been able to go to work. And, you know, it's hard to understand, like, when your child won't go to school. Like, I tried everything, I couldn't get her to go. And it's very difficult to understand that. And I have a lot of empathy for other parents who've been through those difficult situations. And, you know, people do lose their jobs over things like this. So having a business like I have made that possible. Doesn't mean it wasn't very hard on my business. It's a very difficult year. My business dropped a substantial amount dealing with everything that we dealt with. It was very hard, but at least I still had revenue coming in on the weeks when I wasn't able to do anything on my business. I still had revenue coming in, and that's an incredible, incredible gift. You know, that's why I encourage people to look at something like USANA before they have children, if they're planning to have children, because I understand, and this isn't a judgment on how people spend their time, but you are definitely going to have less free time when you have a child. Like, there's just no, you know, you just have less free time when you have a child, because especially with a little child, like, they need all your attention. So I just recommend people to look at this as one income stream before they start a family, because you just never know. Like, we never expected this to be our life, but it is, right?
So how long did it take you to basically retire your husband from his job?
Oh, he's still working. No, he's definitely still working. You know, what's funny is that used to be a goal of my own, to say, like, I want to retire Dan from his job. And I think a lot of network marketers are female, and a lot of network marketers want to retire their husband and take a lot of pride in that. And what I realized is that actually was creating resentment in our relationship, and me saying, like me deciding that was a goal made me resent my husband and say, well, I'm going to work so hard so you don't have to work. Like, I don't think that's fair, because I'll still be working on my business and then you won't be working. So it turned out to be a negative thing. And he's got to find what he wants to do. If he ever wants to leave his job, he has to find what he wants to do and how he wants to spend his time. Because when you have one person in the relationship who's working and still, and this is the thing that I think it has to be really clear about network marketing, is you just don't build it and forget it. Like, that doesn't work. I shouldn't say that. in very few cases, I've seen that work. I know like a handful of people in USANA who set it and forget it. So they built it and they have earned residual income every week at the same level for years. I literally know of 2 people, okay? The rest of us have ups and downs in our business. The comp plan changes. Some people leave to go to another company. You have times in your life where you can't do your business the way that you used to. So I just feel like in a relationship, if my husband wants to stop working, then he's got to create a way for himself to do that. That's in our relationship anyway. I don't want to have to feel responsible for him. I mean, it would be great if he could just retire and do his passion without having to build it up on the side. But I'm a big fan of doing the side gig. I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk. So do the side gig, do the hustle, you know?
Yeah. Excellent. So now in terms of your scientific background, so you've got a bachelor's in kinesiology, sorry.
Yep.
So tell us what that means and how you decided to partner up with USANA from a medical standpoint.
Well, from a health professional standpoint, I studied kinesiology a long time ago and I loved it. And I loved learning about the human body and physiology and disease prevention and all the amazing things that I did in my kin degree. I learned about coaching. I learned how to become a coach, sport physiology, all of these incredible, really cool things, chronic diseases. I mean, when I went to school, it wasn't even called type 2 diabetes yet. It was called juvenile and then adult onset diabetes. So that's how long ago it was that I went to school. But I always had a real interest in the human body. And I actually had a whole different career. I was in corporate for 6 years. I was married to someone else. I had the whole suburban lifestyle. Like it was not at all me, what I meant to do. And just before I turned 30, my marriage had ended. I left Canada. I went and worked overseas for 2.5 years. I worked in Switzerland. I taught. I was a French teacher. And I was planning I came back to Canada to go to get my teaching degree because I was teaching without, not as a certified teacher. And I was at school and I'd started my USANA business, and my mentor and one of my very best friends, Leanne Jacobs, she said to me, you've got to go to convention in Salt Lake City, which was about 2 weeks after I come home from living in Switzerland for 2.5 years. But she's like, yeah, you need to go to convention. I'm like, okay, sure. She's like, just get a plane ticket. I've got the hotel room organized. Just go. I'm like, okay, sure. Sounds good. So I went. I'd been to school for 8 days, and I left to go to Salt Lake City. And I totally fell in love with the business model and the products and the company and the ability to teach in a way that brought me back to my roots of health and lifestyle and wellness, all these things that I was really passionate about. And then at the same time, work with a team and help others to build a business and create freedom. So I actually dropped out of school. So I came back from convention and dropped out of school. My leaders were like, what? Did Julie just drop out of school? They were worried that they had influenced me, and it was crazy. I don't recommend doing this. I was making a couple $100s a month with USANA when I did this. Very hard, but I was single. I was living with my parents at the time. It worked. I could do it. And I hustled for about 18 months at the beginning while training for another Ironman. Which opened a whole other network of people that wanted to look at the products. That really helped. Anyway, so I hustled for those first 18 months. That was the most, and then I actually built up a full-time income in about 18 months. But I was single. I didn't have rent for the first about 10 months I started my business, didn't have rent to pay. And, I wasn't responsible for anybody else. So yeah, definitely. That's why I say you want to look at this as early as possible in your lifetime, because now it would be a lot harder for me to do the same kind of hustle with a child, right? That I homeschool.
Yeah, it would be. But I mean, you're still working your business, and that's pretty cool that, you still have the time to hustle, and maybe in a different way. But you're still hustling. I see you out there talking and promoting and talking about your gut health and you name it. You're still doing
Gut
it.
health, yes. I'm super passionate about that. You know, it's interesting, like my background's in kinesiology. I never took a nutrition course because the reason I didn't take nutrition in university is because I was told it was the hardest course. And I was like, oh, it sounds like too much. Even though I was interested in it, that's kind of an interesting lesson because obviously like that would have been of value in my future career. But I've learned and grown through USANA and the people that I've met and the courses I've been introduced to and the like just attending conventions and trainings and reading and, you know, being introduced to different books and all kinds of things. And that's why I've become an expert in these things without having added any degrees or like I'm very self-educated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important to point out is that, yeah, I came from a background of kinesiology. So I have that advantage of like the human body and anatomy and understanding how the body works. But everything else is total self-education. You know, I have my bookshelf next to me. I look at, you know, there's the Healthy Home book. There's Gut. This is just a great book called Gut. Accidentally Overweight. The Adrenal Stress Connection. You know, all these things about. And then there's of course the like personal development books. So I'm a reader. I was just reading a book called The Obesity Code before you and I spoke. Very interesting. I'll do some videos on that. So. Very interesting.
Sorry, what was the name of the book?
The Obesity Code.
Okay, yeah. How is that?
And it's really good. It's funny. It's like a self-affirming book. So everything I've been teaching about nutrition for like the past decade or so, all the like fallacies and stuff that I talk about, it's all the science behind why calories in, calories that doesn't work. All of that science is in this book. So it's really good because it's all the stuff that I talk about, but it actually shows all the studies that, like, it's really interesting because I talk about a whole different, like so many different things when it comes to nutrition and health. And this book does a really good job of, it brings it all together. I was like, this is interesting, you know?
That sounds like a pretty interesting book. I know you were talking about the gut. I picked up that book. I've got that book. So I'm
good. It's well written. You know, it's well written. And and you can understand it. As a layperson, you don't have to have a background in science.
Yeah, that's
me. I don't
have the science background.
Yeah. Well, I read a super interesting book about the microbiome, but even I couldn't finish it. And I was like, no one else is going to read this. But it was so interesting. It was like how our gut microbiome is more similar to, so the closeness between our gut microbiome and a chimpanzee's gut microbiome is closer to, so as opposed to our oral microbiome and our stomach microbiome are further apart. Okay. So we're closer related from a gut to a gut with a chimpanzee versus a gut to an oral microbiome in our own body. They're so different.
Oh, wow.
And USANA is addressing that, which is really, really innovative. And that's why I started getting interested in it, because USANA is going to be addressing the oral microbiome in the summer. So I like to also follow the science in USANA. Like, that's what I find really interesting about USANA is like they're leaving clues about what's coming next in science. And so I like to follow those clues and learn more about it.
So I'm just going to ask you for, you know, like the laymen who don't know what microbiome is, since we did sort of talk about that, if you can talk or quickly talk about it in something that a layman can understand.
So the microbiome is really the environment at a microscopic level inside of our body. We have far more bacteria in our body than we do cells. So we're really just like a walking bag of bacteria. And for example, like when you take a probiotic, you're eating a bacterial culture, and that helps to, you know, feed and grow the beneficial bacteria in our bodies. And what previous thinking was is that we had to get rid of all bacteria. So you remember how important like antibacterial soaps were for a really long time. And then somebody realized, wait a minute, we actually have a lot of good bacteria in our body that we like is essential for life. So that's where this whole study of the microbiome started coming in, is really understanding that actually, hang on, bacteria can be good for us and it's actually necessary for us to live to have good bacteria. So it's that whole study of the balance between good bacteria and the thing is, it's not good bacteria and bad bacteria. It's just bacteria, right? But it's like, how is it balanced in the body, you know? being someone who survived a life-threatening bacterial infection, I know what bad bacteria is and how devastating it can be. But at the end of the day, like it's dose dependent, right? Mm-hmm. Bacteria isn't in itself a bad thing. So
excellent. So now I'm going to take it back to your Ironman and sort of bring that in, and then I'll talk about why you chose USANA. So in terms of Ironman, what does that look like for you, and how do you train, and what did you use to basically help you through that?
Well, I'll just tell you a simple story, because how I started in USANA and Ironman training are the same story. So that's perfect.
Perfect.
So I did my first Ironman in 2003, a long time ago. Just, finished it with my best friend, another Leanne. It's a bit complicated, but she and I crossed the finish line together. And it was in BC. It was actually here in Penticton when Ironman Canada was here. And it was actually the year of one of the worst forest fire years ever. Funny now that I live here and I totally get it, but I ran an Ironman in basically through a campfire. And then when I was training for my second Ironman, it was 3 years later, I was training on my own. And Leanne Jacobs, the other Leanne, was the one who had started in USANA. So I was training on my own. I was training in the mountains, the Swiss Alps, and doing all my training on my own. And she said, listen, she's like, you need vitamins. Like, you're training for Ironman, you need vitamins. I was like, I'm good. I've got this 1 a day thing. And I thought I knew and understood nutrition because of my background, but I didn't. So Leanne's like, well, I'll just send you some of these and you could try them. And I was like, sure, this sounds good. I don't really know what she's talking about. And so she did, and I tried the USANA Health Pack, which is the pack of vitamins that has everything you need for your daily dose in one pack. And then one says AM, one says PM. It's super easy. So I noticed really quickly. So I was training twice a day most days, so doing 2 different workouts a day. I was also working a full-time job that was like a split shift job. So sometimes I would have the early shift and the afternoon shift, or then I would have the mid-morning shift and then an evening shift. So training was at all different times of day. Some days I would get better sleep than others, but I was always tired. So I noticed very quickly that not only was I sleeping better, but I was sleeping for less time and waking up feeling more recovered. And the recovery from workouts was massive. So I would go out for a 6-hour bike ride, and then in the morning I would feel so much better. Instead of being in total pain and having trouble recovering, I would be okay. One sec. Okay. This is my daughter. This is homeschool life. She made me it's actually really pretty. Anyway, it's called the 3 marker challenge on a timer of 10 minutes. So she did a drawing with 3 of her markers in 10 minutes. So
that's pretty cool. Are those flowers? They look like flowers.
They are. They're actually beautiful. They're flowers, and they've got roots and a whole root system. So
and green.
Come here. Come here. We're recording, but that's okay. That's my daughter, Celine.
Hi.
So this is it. We're home, and she's doing some stuff while I do this recording. Normally,
so that's the beauty of our business. Anyway. You get to homeschool just like
I do get to homeschool, and you know what? If she interrupts the video, it's not a big deal, because that's real life for us here.
No, I'm not gonna cut that out.
There's no point. The bottom line is I did feel a difference from the vitamins, and then she told me it was $1,000 to get started. And I would get all these great products. There were these peanut butter bars that I needed to eat. I don't know. I was just no problem. So I just gave her my credit card. And then a month later, she's like, oh, by the way, we're going to Salt Lake City. You need to buy a plane ticket. I was like, okay. So I didn't really actually know what I was getting involved in, but I knew I loved the products. And that's why, so my business always started about my love of the products first, and getting people interested in the products first and foremost. So I've always built my business that way. Always on a really strong customer base, serving my customers first and foremost, and then building my team from those customers. In my whole team of people that I personally recruited, I think only 1 or 2 actually came to me specifically for the business. And then everybody else came first for products and then joined the team because they were like, I need to share these products with other people. So that's how I build my business. I still build the same way today. I really focus on the customer experience. I focus on serving my customers as best as I can. I do a lot of sampling to help people try the products as much as possible before they buy. And I think that really, really helps, is getting people to sample and try, and then just following up, just being there for my customers, being aware of like when their monthly order is coming up, or being aware that even if they're not on monthly orders, like paying attention to, what, this customer hasn't ordered in a while, I actually need to check because they probably need something. And like that takes a lot of, kind of effort and reading reports and things like that. But I feel that building a solid customer base of people, I have people that have been on a monthly order for over a decade without missing an order.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, to me that's what a successful business in USANA looks like, is the number of customers that I'm serving, and some of those have since become team members, and but just people that order month after month after month because these products make a difference in their lives and the lives of their family. That to me is what a successful USANA business looks like.
So since we actually got to see your beautiful daughter,
Yeah.
Is she also on USANA products?
Of course, yes. I mean, pretty much, her whole life. So she takes a lot of USANA products. We're really lucky. She's super healthy. She's never been on antibiotics. Doesn't really get sick. And you're probably thinking, well, she homeschools. Of course she doesn't get sick. Well, before she would homeschool, it was very rare that she would get sick. I remember the first time she got the stomach flu, she was like 6. And she didn't know what it was because she never had it. And I thought she was having like an appendicitis or something because she was in so much pain, but it's just because she didn't realize that she had the stomach flu because she never had it before. So, I mean, we're really lucky. She's been super healthy. She's really strong. She's a smart kid, lots of fish oil, but she eats super healthy too. I mean, I've created a program called the 30-day whole body detox. Like I pride myself in eating as much green food as possible. I don't always stick to it, but she's a kid that will eat a salad,
Excellent.
Salad since she was 3.
Is USANA a program or is USANA a lifestyle?
Well, you already know the answer to that.
I do, but our viewers
hashtag. Yeah, there is a hashtag USANA lifestyle because it is. I mean, this is, you go into my bathroom, my skincare products are all USANA Salivate products. In my shower, the same thing. Like I wouldn't buy from another store. It doesn't make any sense for me. I love the new USANA microbiome bar. I think it's a great advancement. And I've tried so many bars. We were without a bar for 2 years. And to find a bar that like really satiates you the way that bar does and tastes so good without any kind of like sweetener or stevia or sugar, like it is delicious. It's super filling. I love it. So, we do shakes for breakfast. I add stuff from my own garden now because my garden is growing, and I have a huge box of USANA vitamins that I take every day. My husband's on them. My daughter's on them. I share a house with my parents. They have just as much USANA as we do. They're 75. My dad's almost 76, and they're in great health. We're so lucky, and they've been on USANA since I started. So, and they will say, like, it's one of the reasons why they're so healthy, that they've been on the products, this whole time. And I'm really blessed. Like, my parents are healthy. So
I love hearing that. I love hearing that, like you've got such a healthy family. So basically, it is safe for your child all the way to your parents. So, and anyone in between, which is the beauty about USANA. It's not just for one category, but it caters to everyone. For sure. Yeah, there's definitely, if you were going to just try one product, I would try our vitamin D. If you just were going to do one thing, just vitamin D, unless you live near the equator and you have fair skin and you're living by the equator and you're getting a lot of sun, you need vitamin D. So that, if I would just make one product recommendation that anybody here can take, it's the vitamin D for sure. Perfect. So now from a business standpoint, do you have any tips to give to our viewers? And if I'm not mistaken, you're a Ruby director? Yeah. So can you just sort of tell us what a Ruby means to other people?
Well, in USANA, you earn a title and then you're paid based on commissions. So I earned the title of Ruby 3 years ago, and now I'm just paid basically on weekly commissions based on what the volume of products that moves through my organization. That's basically how we earn money in USANA. And the tip for business is that USANA, just like anything else, is a real business if you choose to. So there's definitely a lot of, I think that's probably the biggest knowledge gap when it comes to network marketing, is the like how to write a business plan and how to execute a business plan and to commit to business every single day, especially on a part-time basis. I learned this from Natalie Dion, who's an executive Emerald director. What that means is she's earning at her level every single week. So she's earning a minimum of $3,000 US per week every week, and she's been doing that for, I think, over a year now. Anyway, she told me if you just work on one thing every day, which is called 3-2-1. So it's 3 invitations, so inviting 3 people to look at USANA, whether it's the product or the business, or giving them samples. 2 follow-ups per day, so making sure after you've done the invitation that you're following up. And then 1 connection with team, meaning that you connect with either your mentor or your sponsor or someone on your team as well, or even someone that's like, not on your direct team. So you just connect, with your tribe with 1 person a day. So 3-2-1. So that's like an easy thing that anybody can do. A part-time person can do, a full-time person can do, to just get the momentum going in their USANA business.
That's a great rule. I mean, I'm going to implement that rule 3-2-1. I'm going to thank you. So that's a great tip. Any other tips or anything that you can say before we close off?
Well, I would say that no matter what kind of business you're in or whether you're not in business, my biggest tip for life is to choose to wake up every day with gratitude, to say thank you for this gift of another day and the opportunity to be of service to others. Because no matter what business you're in or whatever it is that you do in life, if you focus on being of service to other people, that to me is the foundation of success in life. Really, is how do I be of service to others in the best possible way.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for this wonderful interview and your time. And now I'll let you get back to homeschooling with your beautiful daughter. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm looking outside because we're going to go for a nice walk now. So
is it nice and sunny out there, or is it?
We just literally, the sun came out while we were talking. So
I'm nice.
Like, yay, we're going to go for a nice walk.
Ours is kind of still gray here.
Yeah.
Well,
come on over. Anytime.
Later. Take care.
Thanks, Fatima.
Bye.